Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Office Bloke Daz.
I'm Office Bloke Aidan.
We are just two of us today.
Yep.
If Patreon's your thing as well, don't forget, check out the link in the description below. Loads of stuff on there, exclusive, all just for Patreon. Things like The Receiver, we just started watching.
Yeah, it's good, I know.
It is, yeah, we did the quarterback already. That's all there complete. All starts at just $3 a month. So support the channel, head on over there. US v UK breakfast foods.
Yep. Yeah.
I do like a breakfast. I don't eat it often.
No,
often
I
as I should.
don't. I don't.
I'm a bit of a weekend
If
down
you
to
were
the
to
cafe
go
guy.
to breakfast, if you could have like the best breakfast you could ever have.
Full English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be up there for me as well.
And I tell you what, I found a cafe that's near us now, a new cafe that's just opened, and it does the best black pudding.
Oh, I
It's
know.
made
Black
good.
puddings are.
No, it's good.
Nah.
Really is, and it's quite strong now, but it's tasty, very very tasty.
Yeah. I like pancakes with bacon and that.
Yeah,
Syrup.
you're more of like an American sort of style breakfast sort of guy, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Whereas
cereal.
I do eat a lot of cereal.
But I'm not going to have like Heinz beans and tea and Marmite.
See,
Do you know what I mean?
on my breakfast, I like crumpets.
Yeah, I like crumpets.
But if
but
I
I
go
have
into
to
a
have
restaurant,
jam.
if I go into the cafe in the morning, full English, and I have tea, but I have peppermint tea. I'm big on my flavoured teas as opposed
Yeah,
to
I'm
just regular
like,
tea.
in the morning, I'm like an orange juice type of guy.
I have an orange juice as well. But yeah, load
Right,
me
should
up,
we,
I'd say. Give me everything you've got and
Should
I'll
we
leave what I
see
don't
the
want.
differences?
Go for
Love
it.
eggs though. Eggs.
We're exploring all the differences between breakfast in the UK and the US. This is Food Wars.
Obviously, portion sizes are difficult to
That looks-
quantify exactly because they
It
vary
just looks a bit
wildly from
depressing,
restaurant to
doesn't it?
restaurant.
We're starting with what we think are classic cooked breakfast plates from each country.
This is the set one breakfast from our local cafe.
For a classic American cooked breakfast, almost all diners will serve a 2x2x2, which contains 2 eggs, 2 pieces of bacon, and 2 pancakes.
When I lived in the USA,
How about that?
yeah, when I lived in the USA, I was big on the diners. I love the diners, and there's loads of them in New Jersey.
American diner.
People will know. They are absolutely brilliant.
What they like, what they look like in the movies.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually like to sit at the counter.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I was in a proper movie then, like sitting in a booth or something. I was like, nah, get at the counter where I'm right there. So I'm getting the flavour of the place.
Yeah.
When I go to the places in England, that one he's just held up there. The best ones you can go to is the greasy spoons, like the real ones that look really shit.
I said this.
The
to
shitter
Mum
they
other
look,
day,
the better they are.
Yeah, we've said that when me and Mum did this barbecue, that didn't look too good on the outside, but obviously had the best food.
Yeah.
If I said it's like if it's got like 1-star hygiene, or you just know the food's going to be really nice.
Oh, there's a place I go and I saw last week. I'm just stood there waiting for my food. I just glanced at the window and I thought, 1-star hygiene. I'm like, hello. I'm like looking around. I'm thinking, it's just the way they store the food, and they
Yeah, I
you
know,
get a
yeah.
prick
If it
inspector.
tastes nice, I don't
Right,
really care.
food's fine. Yeah.
It's typical in the UK for cafes to have a set menu with preset breakfast options, and the set one is usually the most standard. This plate contains an egg, 2 pieces of bacon, a sausage, beans, and a fried slice.
That does look nice,
Yes,
though.
a fried slice is literally just a deep fried slice of bread. It's delicious.
Let's measure some of these ingredients to see what the differences are.
Just over 5. Eggs don't always look quite as flat as this. It's
Don't get
two-dimensional.
poached eggs. Or soft fried.
I like boiled.
We'll weigh the whole plate and then deduct maybe like 10 grams for the weight of the paper plate. Oh yeah.
We're deducting a pancake. We cheated. Also 1 piece of bacon! So that entire breakfast plate comes out to 304 grams.
Let's take a look at some breakfast cereal portion sizes, starting
Oh, I
with
love
Kellogg's
cornflakes.
Cornflakes. The
Same.
smallest one is this multi-pack 20-gram box.
Who buys them?
Then we have a 250-gram box.
It's for kids, isn't it? Like, have you ever had one of them?
I've had the
And poured it
multi-pack.
out
I
and
used to
it's
buy them
like
for you when you were
half the
kids.
size of the ball you'd normally pour.
That's what I'm saying. You pour it in, you're like, I'm gonna have to get
that
another
it?
one now.
I know, yeah.
A 450-gram box, and our biggest size, a 1 kilogram box.
Kilogram.
You might also be able to find a 720-gram box, but we couldn't find it today.
US cornflakes also come in a range of sizes. We have the 9.6 ounce box, the 12 ounce box, the 18 ounce box, and the 24
Hang
ounce
on,
box.
there's that many grams difference between them two middle ones. I was just saying, looks the same size.
Yeah, family size, large size.
Giant size.
There's also a mega size, which is 25.2 ounces.
So we have the
in
biggest
the US,
one.
we also have these little 2-ounce cereal cups. These come in a lot of different kinds of cereal, but I couldn't find the cornflake one. Nobody actually likes those. I did find Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Not the
That's
same.
what that looks like.
So that actually makes the UK's largest size 40% bigger than the US's. The only time we have a bigger portion size than America is when it's a healthy food, apparently.
There is an interesting difference when it comes to recommended serving sizes in the two countries. In the US, the recommended serving size is 1.5 cups, which is 42 grams of cornflakes.
The recommended serving size in the UK is just 30 grams, which is a 28% decrease compared to the US. That means
why would they give you a bloody 20-gram box then?
Exactly. 30 grams, right?
that the recommended serving size is bigger than one of these. That's not even one portion.
That also means that the largest US box contains just 17 servings, while the UK's contains 33. That's almost double the number of portions if we're sticking to Kellogg's recommended amounts.
I'm going to measure out 30 grams because I'm kind of struggling to visualize what that actually looks like.
I'd love to know.
Nah.
Are you mad?
I'm going to be honest, that might be what they're recommending us, but that is not what I'm eating. I'm having probably double that, I would say.
Yeah, maybe even more.
I have like an average size bowl, cereal bowl, and fill it.
Yeah, same.
And then I put a little bit more in just to make sure.
Just to get that crunch.
Yeah.
Crunchy.
Let's measure out 42 grams of cornflakes. Here's what 42 grams of cereal looks like. I feel like this is a normal person's portion.
I think you should have put it in a bowl.
When I eat cereal, it's all about how I'm feeling.
Bit visual.
Usually it's probably twice the size of this. I just feel like cereal's the kind of food where I just...
You always see on the box, it's always got strawberries. Has anyone actually put strawberries in the cornflakes?
No. But
I never have.
It's funny you should say that, because when I go to certain hotels and it's not a buffet and they serve you, sometimes they have fruit in the cereal. Someone come out and they said, "Do you like cereal?" And the guys for cereal, they come out and there is fruit in it.
Do you know what I like it when it's like dried fruit. So it's like almost crunchy when you bite the fruit.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
eat a lot of it. This wouldn't do it for me, but it might do it for you. No, I eat cereal out of my mixing bowls. Like, I don't eat it out of normal people bowl.
What about beverages? Well, in the UK, you can get Tropicana orange juice, and the biggest size is 1.5 litres. I didn't get it today. I'm sorry, I forgot.
In the US, our largest
Tropicana
Tropicana size
best
is
orange juice, hands
128
down.
fluid ounces. That's about 2.3 of this size. Team no pulp, but I am kind of team some pulp sometimes. And I'm feeling a little crazy, a little kooky. First, we wanted to compare a couple of familiar options in both countries because some of them actually have surprising differences.
The first thing I want to talk about is bacon. Joe's always moaning about UK bacon, so I did some research and dug up some pretty interesting stuff.
I'm not impressed with your bacon here, guys. I'm not impressed. Look at... What America? Don't worry.
That does look pretty.
I'm not gonna
I
lie,
get
he
that.
he is eating bacon from somewhere like what looks like McDonald's or somewhere.
Yeah, that's what my bacon looks like when I get McDonald's
grim.
with bacon on my burger.
I would never have bacon from a fast food chain
Why?
because I don't like bacon from a fast food chain. It's grim. You have bacon in the diner, in the greasy spoon. That's it. So if I go Monty's bacon sandwich, you get proper crispy bacon, how you want it. It's how you want it cooked.
I mean,
big thick slices.
It's like I can say the same about the beef though.
Yeah, you can have a burger and stuff. It's not bacon.
Yeah, like...
This is a standard UK bacon
Like that.
rasher. The most commonly
Yeah.
eaten type of bacon in the UK is back bacon, which is identifiable by its shape. You get the thick piece
never
of
knew
pork
that.
at the top with a fatty tail at the end. Typically, our bacon is simply cured in a salted mixture and can often be smoked with British woods like oak. We do also have streaky bacon, which more closely resembles the shape of American bacon, but is still quite different.
Bacon in the US will almost always look like this. Very thin.
Yeah, we never
piece
see
of
it like
pork,
that.
No.
Fatty, usually has some crisp to it. It depends on how you like it cooked, but if you order bacon here, this is what you're getting. US bacon is cut from a cured slab of pork belly. Usually it'll be smoked with either applewood or hickory to add that smoky bacon flavor.
We cut our
Whole
bacon
pig.
from the pork loin, which is located on the back of the pig, hence the name back bacon. The loin is a much less fatty cut of meat when compared to the belly. This means that when it's cooked, less fat renders out of UK bacon, and it doesn't crisp up as much as American bacon tends to. If there are any UK-based Americans watching this who miss American bacon, you can either seek out a butcher who is curing pork belly, or maybe just fry your back bacon in a bit more oil than you usually would.
That explains it. I was always wondering what was going on with the UK bacon.
Let's talk about eggs. It doesn't smell good in here. When you order breakfast at a US diner, they will always ask you how you want your eggs. So you can get them scrambled, poached, boiled, fried. If you want them fried, usually there's a list of ways you can get them fried. So you can get them sunny side up, over easy, over medium, or over hard. They all mean something different. All of those options refer to whether you want your eggs flipped, plus how much you want the yolk to be cooked. Sunny side up
Delicious
eggs
eggs.
are not flipped, meaning that the whites on top could be a little bit runny, and so will the yolk. The yolk is, for the most part, uncooked. Over easy eggs are flipped near the end to ensure that the whites are pretty much fully cooked on both sides, but the yolk should still be runny when you break into it. Over medium and over hard are also flipped, but they're cooked for longer, so the yolk is going to be more solid. We have two of those options here, a sunny side up egg and two over easy eggs.
If you go to a Greasy Spoon and you order a breakfast containing eggs in the UK, you will almost never be asked how you want them. By default, they will just be served sunny side up, or maybe over easy. I think this one might have been flipped. They will serve you other types of egg if you ask. That could be poached, that could be a cooked through egg, or they will do scrambled as well. I do also just want to point out that we got some scrambled eggs as a side for this one, and this is how they came.
What?
So sad. Yeah, I do a pretty good scrambled egg. I
What is
prefer
that?
the like French style.
Don't like scrambled eggs,
scramble.
mate.
No,
A nice goopy scramble.
Fried or
Sausage
poached
is another
or
common
like
item
a
on a full English breakfast. Typically, these will be thick pork sausages, either in the style of a Lincolnshire sausage or maybe a Cumberland. That said, Greasy Spoon cafe sausages are typically this kind. Typically, I'd say the Greasy Spoon sausages are straighter and longer than a Lincolnshire or a Cumberland might be, and they also have this kind of signature tough casing. Sausages in the UK are typically coarsely ground pork, and they'll be seasoned simply with things like salt, black pepper, maybe some sage and onion as well.
Sausage is common in a US breakfast too, although our links tend to be smaller than a UK sausage. It looks like cooked little fingers. These are also pork-based, but tend to be flavored with more ingredients like brown sugar, garlic powder, and paprika, so it gives you a smokier, sweeter kind of sausage.
Here are a range of breakfast foods from the UK not commonly eaten in the US.
Here are all of the breakfast foods from
Weetabix.
the US that aren't as
Frosted
common in
Flakes.
the UK. We're gonna break all of these down into categories, starting with all of the cooked breakfast items that you might find at an American diner. Let's start with an American classic, pancakes. These are pretty much on every single diner menu in the US. I'd be very surprised to find a diner that didn't serve pancakes. This is very often served as a part of a breakfast plate that includes a whole bunch of sides, so like bacon, sausage, eggs, sometimes home fries. They also tend to
Home
come
fries.
with some butter
Forgot
and
about
maple
home
syrup.
fries.
Our pancakes are thick and fluffy due to the ratio of wet versus dry ingredients, but also due to the inclusion of baking powder or buttermilk, which helps the pancakes rise as they cook. I love a pancake. I'm 100% team pancake versus waffle. It's so good. It's so good every time. Even like an okay pancake is better than the best waffle, in
Not for
my
me.
opinion. In my opinion.
Toast.
I'm gonna
for
get
me.
so booed. I'm gonna get booed.
Those are totally different to British pancakes. Ours tend to be much more like the crepe style that you might find in France. Eggs, milk and flour, pancake power.
Sorry.
Eggs, milk and flour, pancake power. There are a few rare occasions where you might see pancakes on breakfast menus in the UK, although they are typically included in more American-style breakfasts, or maybe as like a fancy brunch option. The closest actually British equivalent is probably the Scotch pancake.
You'll also see waffles at US diners a lot. This is like pancakes' arch nemesis.
No, do you know what it is with pancakes and waffles? The best waffle beats the best pancake, but like an average pancake is better than an average waffle.
Right, I'm not a waffle or pancake guy.
Yeah.
So I don't really sort of like wouldn't know a good one from a bad one. Waffles v pancakes, I'd probably never order one. I'd go for more toast on my breakfast.
Fair enough.
And I've enjoyed more of the other ingredients that are surrounding the pancake and waffle.
Yeah.
The ingredients are almost identical, but waffles are made in a waffle maker, which helps them cook throughout with crispy edges. Everyone likes the pools that you can build with syrup because of all those edges. I think British people will pretty much only ever see waffles as a part of a dessert menu. I tend to agree. Okay, that's part of the reason why I'm not that into waffles. I feel like we do too much with waffles here. I don't need chocolate, sprinkles, whipped cream. I don't need that. I just woke up, I want breakfast, and I want a pancake.
Enough of those American desserts masquerading as breakfast foods. It's time for some classic British breakfast staples. This is black pudding. When Americans hear the word
delicious.
pudding, they often think of like a custardy dessert, like an angel delight, but this is anything but. Black pudding has existed in many cultures and many forms for centuries, but the rough idea is that you take the blood from an animal, you cook it down with things like oats and other things to absorb it, and then form it into a sausage. A thick log of blood. Delicious. It's just one of those, like, they need better marketing. On paper, yeah, it's a little bit weird, but really
I
tasty.
agree.
I'm
It's
not
tasty.
weirded out by black pudding. I've had it before. I thought it tasted fine, but I definitely don't prefer it to a regular sausage link. I will
No.
say that the names of a lot of breakfast items in the UK mislead my brain all the time, like black pudding, bubble and squeak. Now let's talk potatoes. Let's start with the hash brown. In the US, hash brown means a couple different things. So you can get a hash brown that's like this one from McDonald's that's pre-shaped. These are a lot less common at diners. I feel like what they usually have at diners is more of like hash browns that are grated.
Yeah.
If we were anywhere near a Waffle House, I would totally get some and show you, but we don't have one. But this is what it looks like. It's so delicious.
We do have hash browns in the UK, but they're pretty much always the fast food style, pre-shaped and deep fried ones. The most common ones are in this triangle shape for some reason. I'm not sure exactly why. I imagine they're just the cheap ones that you find at wholesalers. I personally love them on a breakfast plate. I do think they are a great addition to a fry-up or a fillet.
Mate, they're
If we're talking
well
potato
nice.
on a British fry-up, I'd be remiss not to mention bubble and squeak. This is a very traditional fry-up dish in the UK. It actually originated as a way to use up leftovers from dinner the night before.
I'm not sure you put that on a breakfast dish though, bubble and squeak.
I don't actually really know what it is.
It's cabbage and potato mixed together.
Oh, mate, that's great.
Is what it used to be, but it was like a mix-up of all mix everything up and then cut it into little like round bits and fry it, pan fry it. But bubble and squeak I thought was cabbage and potato.
Like a dinner, though.
Yeah, I have it for dinner. Yeah.
Before. Typically, it would feature potato and maybe some other vegetables which were then mashed together and fried in a pan. Over time, it became so widespread that it just became a breakfast staple in its own right. The name comes from the noise that the dense mixture would make as it bubbled and squeaked away as it cooked in a frying pan.
All the Food Tours fans know that the first time I ever had bubble and squeak was, in fact, during our English breakfast episode, and I have to say, I think it's great. I'm not
good.
quite sure why it's not popular here in the US. To be honest, it's not too far from some hash browns I've had, mixed up with the potatoes and some vegetables, onion. From what I remember, it was like cooked in like a block, and you were just like sectioning it off like sheet cake and throwing it on there, right? Anyway, bubble and squeak, I am a fan. If you're going to the UK, try it.
Another side potato option you'll see a lot in the US is home fries.
I like
home
home
fries are
fries.
diced potato cubes that get parboiled and sauteed in a frying pan. Usually when you cook it like that, it gives you crispy outside and a fluffy texture inside. Home fries are not my preferred way of eating potatoes at breakfast, but these smell pretty good. It's just not fun. There's no fun in eating these potatoes for breakfast.
One last thing, which is more of a question for my fellow Brits. Do chips belong
No.
on a full English? Chips are something that you see on a lot of breakfast
I've
menus.
never seen chips on a
No,
film
me
in my
neither.
life.
I'm saying I've never seen them. I have seen them. Like they come as a side, and I'm like, no, they don't. You definitely don't.
No,
want
that's
them.
what hash browns are for.
Hash browns or I'd prefer home fries, and you get more of a.
I've never seen
What's the?
home fries.
It's been, a lot of the breakfast dishes
Or
over
toast,
here now.
bread.
Pardon?
Bread and toast is what you have on the side.
Yeah, but a lot of breakfast places over here now are introducing a lot of American style food. So you are getting things like home fries and what them little like almost like croquette type things they serve now as well. I've never seen them before, and until recently they seem to be everywhere
like
now.
tater tots.
Tater tots, yeah. And they're like a bit like home fry sort of
Yeah.
like sort of style. But French fries or chips don't belong on British on an English breakfast. No chance.
No, I agree.
Menus in the UK, but I
Never.
do feel like having them on or as part of a full English is still quite controversial among Brits. There are some other cooked breakfast staples in the UK that might seem a bit strange to Americans. If you order a full English at a cafe, you can often expect to find grilled mushrooms and grilled tomato as part of your plate. I would say the most common form of the tomato is just halved and grilled. I will say the quality of both the tomatoes and the mushrooms can vary
And so you cut into it, and that boiling hot tomato juice squirts on your arm.
Oh, mate, I wouldn't know because I do not touch the tomatoes.
very wildly depending on the cafe you're in.
This is an American breakfast option that I've never seen in the UK. I don't think you guys have this normally, but it's steak and eggs. Steak and
talk
eggs
about
is
that the
pretty
other
much
day,
on
yeah.
every single diner menu.
Do you know what the funny thing is? I walked past the restaurant the other day. We were going for breakfast, and again, I said, "Do you want to go in here?" We're looking at the menu at the door, and I said, "Oh, look, steak and eggs." Right? And I said, "I would have had that if we'd have gone in there."
It's
And
still
I said, "Come on,
baffles
see how
me,
different
that.
it is." So we walked into another one, which was rustic, which you know,
Yeah.
steak and eggs on the menu.
Really?
Yeah, for breakfast menu.
It still
I didn't have
baffles
it
me
though.
that steak
Yeah.
can be
Yeah,
eaten
yeah,
in the breakfast.
it is good, it's good. It
It's
is.
too heavy to have
It's
a
not.
breakfast.
It's not when it's a
dinner.
little steak, mate. It's good. It really is good.
Menu. This is a terrible representation of what steak and eggs actually looks like.
Yeah,
There are
gonna
great
say.
steak and eggs at certain diners, but this cut of meat just looks scary.
Yeah, it does look a bit
I'm
grim.
not sure that this is from a cow.
Nah.
This is like the last thing I want for breakfast. I don't understand.
Yeah.
This actually began as an Australian staple until World War II exposed American troops to this dish, and they fell in love with it. They liked that it had a lot of protein, and it really skyrocketed in popularity back home after
Does
the
have a
war.
lot of protein, doesn't
I
it?
just feel like this is too much for me personally to start my day with, so I would never order it.
If we're talking about UK breakfast foods, I of course have to mention
Got to be
baked
on it.
beans. Baked beans actually originated in the US, but have now
Heinz
become
beans.
very much a UK breakfast staple. It's not 100% clear how beans became a breakfast food in the UK. Heinz claims that it invented beans on toast as part of a marketing campaign in 1927. The popularity of baked beans was then cemented by World War II in the UK, when the British Ministry of Food classed them as an essential food and exempted them from rationing. As a cheap and easy source of protein and vitamins, they quickly became a staple of British cuisine. It is worth pointing out that British baked beans are very different to the baked beans found in the US. Ours are cooked in a sweet tomato-based sauce with herbs and spices. I can only do...
I reckon you could go to like almost any house in the UK and they'd have a can of baked beans somewhere in the cupboard.
Apart from your uncle's, he's got a phobia.
Wait, what?
He's got a phobia for baked beans.
How is that even a thing?
Yeah, I thought that as well. He proper freaks out. Yeah.
What, even just the tin, or just like
can't
the
smell
beans?
the tin. Can't even see the tin. Yeah, he's got
What?
proper like phobia. Yeah, it's a real bad phobia.
That's
Don't know what you
weird.
call it. Yeah, it is weird.
Bean
Yeah. So I thought, nah, you're making it up sort of thing. But tomatoes and beans, yeah, you can't. He's got proper
Tomatoes
phobia.
as well?
But you can eat pizza. Yeah, weird. But baked beans definitely belong on a British breakfast. English
Yeah,
breakfast.
100%. Baked beans, yeah.
Delicious.
Even though I'm like, I don't dislike them, but I wouldn't choose to.
You've got to
I'd
put a
have
sprinkling
them
of vinegar on it.
English.
Bit of malt vinegar in the sauce makes it better.
For me, like beans on toast maybe isn't also a breakfast food.
No.
Beans as part of a full English, yes. Beans on toast for me is like a lunch food
Yeah.
or
Snack.
a very lazy dinner food.
Yeah.
I usually go Heinz beans. I know people feel passionately about beans. If I need to convert to Branston, let me know in the comments.
Nah.
When you say baked beans in America, I would say this is what we think of.
What the
These are
hell?
usually
Yeah.
something that I see a lot at barbecues, Frankenbeans, you know, that whole situation,
chili.
but it's not common to
No, they're
take
not the
these
same as what
beans
we
and
have.
just slap them on toast for breakfast. Obviously, both countries eat toast for breakfast,
Yeah.
but the toppings definitely vary. I feel like in America, our toppings tend to lean sweeter, where in the UK, they're more savory. One example of our sweet toast toppings is fruit jelly. I feel like it's super common to see those little packets of jelly whenever you order toast at a diner or something. I'm more of a buttered toast person, but it is common to see people put jelly on their toast.
I do.
Not as common in
I put both.
Same. Both.
I put
yeah.
a layer of butter and then a layer of jam.
Yeah, same.
the UK.
In the UK, it's much more common to find jam. The main difference is that jelly is made with fruit juice, while jam is made with actual pieces of fruit. Popular UK options include strawberry, raspberry, blackcurrant, and we also like marmalade as well. If I'm having
More
jam
like
on toast,
that.
I'm also putting butter on there beforehand.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's super common in America. I feel like you guys tend to just go for the jam without the butter in that case. So like for me, the ideal slice of jam and toast is the jam on toast that they have in Wallace and Gromit. I do also find that the cheap jam, like this one, is good for
Hartley's.
my ideal spreading.
Is that looks
It's a
American?
bit more homogeneous. You can get a nice even layer.
The
Looks
most
like jam,
popular
though.
jelly options in the US are definitely strawberry and grape. You don't tend to find blackcurrant products in the
You
US.
never see grape over here.
No, you
The
don't.
only
not
grape
even as a-
jelly
not
you'll
even as a-
see is the one in our fridge.
But not even a drink or anything like that. You know, grape drinks and stuff. But when you go to the USA, you see them quite a bit.
Grape, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. You don't really see them over here, do you?
Nah, not really, no.
In the late 19th century, pathologists found that blackcurrants carried a fungus that destroyed pine trees, the backbone of the American timber industry. So this led to the government banning them completely.
Our version of that is that we really don't have many grape-flavored products in the UK. If you see something purple, it's almost always going to be blackcurrant or maybe blackberry. Before we move on from toast, I also have to shout out my beloved
Disgusting.
Marmite. This
Yeah,
is a
get
divisive
out.
spread in the UK. For a long time, possibly still, their motto was you either love it or you hate it. That's become so ingrained in British culture that if a topic or something else is divisive,
Yeah,
people
very
will describe
Marmite.
it as a Marmite topic. Joe Avella from Food Wars, bit Marmite. It's another one that's a bit like black pudding in the sense where if you actually think too much about how it's made, it's off-putting. It's
I've
called
no
yeast
idea.
extract, and it's effectively the kind of sludge that is left over from when you brew beer. It's delicious. I personally love it.
How do I not like that then?
Well, here we have some crumpets.
That sounds.
Why not like
That sounds weird.
It's
though.
grim though, isn't it?
Oh,
It really is
mate,
grim.
it's the worst
I think it
taste
should
ever.
be. I think it should be more of a cooking ingredient that you put into
That's
food
what
for
Mum does,
flavouring.
right? She puts like a tiny little bit of Marmite in, like
Chilies and stuff
Yeah.
like that. She does, yeah, but she also spreads it on toast.
toasting. Yeah, she loves it.
And sometimes she'll say to me, I'll say, do you want some toast? And she'll go, yeah, with Marmite. And I'm like, oh, it takes an hour to spread a little bit, doesn't it?
And you can't, like, it all starts like leaking out, like when you.
I just give her the jar and a knife on the table.
literally.
There you go, put your own on.
As well as some English muffins, or as we call them, muffins. The two of them do share a couple of similarities, but it kind of begins and ends with the fact that they are both
Sausage
yeasted
and egg
bready
muffin.
products, which are cooked on a hot plate. With muffins, the dough is shaped into a ball before being grilled on both sides. Crumpets are made with pretty similar ingredients, but the liquid ratio is higher, so you end up with something more like a batter rather than a dough. This gets poured onto a preheated surface, which is actually at a hotter temperature than a muffin bake would be. That means that it immediately sets on the bottom and forms a crust. They're also not flipped during the cooking process, so as it cooks, bubbles are formed, CO2 is released, rising up
Delicious
through the muffin,
crumpets.
Oh, yeah.
releasing in the top.
Way better than
producing
toast,
beautiful
I
air
think.
holes. Not only are they visually different from muffins, but they also have a much chewier texture. As a Brit, one of the best feelings you can experience is spreading lots of butter onto a freshly toasted crumpet, watching it all kind of melt into the holes, pour out the bottom.
Bit of jam on it.
It's just wonderful. They're so tasty.
Yeah.
Let's talk about donuts. These are an iconic
Yes.
US breakfast food, but that hasn't always been the case. They were introduced to the US by Dutch pilgrims, but were always considered more of a snack or a dessert. That all changed in the 1940s and 50s. The invention of donut machines in the 1930s made making donuts super easy and led to more and more donut shops opening across the US. The rise of the donut went hand in hand with coffee. Americans wanted to start their day with a cup of coffee, which was often sold at bakeries and increasingly donut stores. Even now, if you go to a grocery store here and buy a pack of coffee, you'll see the flavored donut shop coffee. It's definitely become a thing. Donuts are not an everyday thing, and you can obviously have them at any time of the day, but I do still see these as a breakfast pastry. To me,
I don't.
donuts are like the
Anytime.
perfect
Yeah.
amount of something sweet.
That's the type of thing I'd have, like, as a little snack after my lunch.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or like just that time
I
period
agree.
between lunch and dinner.
Or a brunch
Yeah.
between breakfast and lunch.
Yeah.
You know, like a cup of coffee. You've had your cup of coffee, your first cup of
Something
coffee.
you
You go
eat
for your
if you're on the
second
move.
Go for your second cup, and you think, I just need something with it. And grab a donut. Yeah.
Eat for a breakfast item. When we get into the territory of adding candy, chocolate, all sorts of stuff on like a waffle, a pancake, that's too much to me. This is like the limit of how sweet a breakfast should be.
Don't get me wrong, I love donuts, and I'm sad that they're not a more acceptable anytime food in the UK, but I feel like objectively speaking, they are just not a breakfast food. If you're getting a breakfast pastry in the UK, it's much more likely to be a croissant or something in that vein. Shout out particularly to the Tesco chocolate-filled croissants. Maybe when it comes to something qualifying as a breakfast pastry in the US and the UK, the presence of icing might be the distinguishing factor.
I should probably also mention toaster pastries, the most famous obviously being Pop-Tarts. We also have toaster strudels or similar options like that in American grocery stores. We actually did a Pop-Tarts episode a while ago. Pop-Tarts fall into this weird gray area where the marketing is very focused on them being a quick and easy breakfast food.
Kids' food.
But nowhere on the packaging does it actually say it's for breakfast or mention breakfast at all.
We do have
That's like a
Pop-Tarts
late
in the
night
UK,
snack.
they're just not that popular. Firstly, they're seen as an American import, which lets supermarkets charge over the odds for them. Also in the UK, cereals are supposed to be more nutritionally complete, so they also kind of miss out on that as well.
What about breakfast cereals? Obviously, there are a ton of options in both
I
countries.
think the USA absolutely storms away with
Oh,
the
I
better
agree.
cereals.
But we have Frosties.
Yeah, I know, but like I'm not even just talking about ones that aren't even there, like all like the fruity pebbles and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? We don't really have stuff like that.
No.
Countries, particularly in the US, we love our cereal. So let's talk about our most popular
I've never had
cereal
Cinnamon Toast
options
Crunch.
in the US and the UK and compare them.
We have some shredded wheat, Weetabix, Kellogg's Crunchy Nut,
How
Shreddies,
depressing that is,
Honey
man.
Cheerios.
And Shreddies.
Shredded wheat and shreddies.
We're pretty sure that at some point we did have Honey Nut Cheerios. We're not sure when that stopped being the case.
A
Yeah.
report from Wishlisted says that the top 5 US breakfast cereals are Honey Nut Cheerios, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Honey Bunches of Oats with Almonds, Special K red berries, and Frosted Flakes.
In the UK, as you
I'm
can see, the
surprised about
emphasis
that.
on cereals really is about their whole grain content and their fibre. There's a lot of just wheat ingredients, whole grain wheat, 100%.
Weetabix are good though.
Yeah.
That's
Weetabix are the
literally
best there.
100% wheat.
That's shredded wheat's
I
grim.
feel like this is a pretty well-rounded list.
Shredded wheat's the sort of thing you give a horse.
I like shredded wheat when it's got like strawberry filled.
Oh,
It's
nah.
like strawberry filled shredded wheat. I've got some at home.
Yeah, it's like, it literally looks. I've had it once when I was a kid, and I was like, no, that's horse food. You're not having that.
It does almost taste like wood.
It's like eating a block of wood. Yeah.
List. I'm not surprised by anything because this seems pretty typical to me. I think that Lucky Charms, Cap'n Crunch, those more sweet cereals tend to be more for kids. Like,
Oh,
I indulge every
I
now
don't
and
care.
then as an adult, but
I
I'm
don't
not
care.
buying them consistently. Maybe it's just me. I do think that Honey Nut Cheerios being number one makes the most sense. It's the least offensive cereal and so delicious. I think once you become an adult, you focus more on the health-conscious cereals like a Honey Nut Cheerios, which their whole thing is that it's heart healthy. Let's try some Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I've had it a million times, but I think this is more of the cereal that people tend to imagine, a sugary, delicious American breakfast cereal.
I've heard that a lot, but I've never tried it. But I love
No.
cinnamon, so I reckon
Can you
I'd
get-
love
can you
that.
get it over here?
I've never seen it in my life.
I think you might be able to get it.
I don't think you
I'll have a
can.
look next time I go for you.
Where?
Because in the cereal,
cereal shop?
Yeah. In the cereal shop, yeah. Where all the killers are.
With cinnamon sugar in every bite. It's so good. This is the kind of cereal that you can dry fist into your mouth or eat with milk like a normal person, and it's gonna be good every time.
Normal person.
Cereal has gotten worse in the UK, I think. Even from the time when I was a kid. Golden Nuggets are the example of this. I had Golden Nuggets as a kid. They were like bright yellow, full of
Oh,
vitamins,
I remember them.
delicious. And now
Used to
it's
be you have
just
to go to
kind
the
of
toilet,
balls of
though.
very dull, palish wheat, I think, or corn or whatever. Also, I don't remember the last time I saw a little plastic toy in the cereal either.
Yeah.
That was so good as a kid. Why don't we do that anymore? Delicious microplastics. I don't know what this is about.
I doubt you'll find that in a box of Weetabix. I mean,
Nowadays, yeah.
Because I also love fast food. I love aggressively flavored things. But there's something about just like plain Weetabix with milk that I really love.
yeah.
A lot of people will add sugar to this, maybe at home.
Yeah.
On the package,
Yeah.
you'll often see them adding like berries and stuff. but
Yeah,
I
it's
also
always
don't-
fruit
I
on
just
it.
really like the taste of wheat for some reason. The crew has
Weetabix
asked
is
if I
good.
can eat a whole Weetabix dry.
You can't have
No.
it dry.
I don't want to, but I guess I can try.
Don't. Why would you do
It does
that?
look very dry. These do require milk.
Mate,
usually.
you're gonna...
Give it a go.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. No.
Oh, what a Whoa.
It is like a bag of sawdust.
Not the most pleasant thing I've ever done. But not the least either.
No, don't do that.
What's he been
I do
doing?
not enjoy sweet cereals. I have not liked them ever, even as a kid. They'd always give me stomach problems in the morning. I almost never have sweet cereal. If I was to have a sweet US style cereal, it wouldn't be for breakfast. I'd maybe have it later in the day as a snack. I like Apple Jacks, really like Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And oddly enough, do a 180. I strangely enjoy Wheaties, the not sweetest cereal. Maybe because it's one of the few cereals I can actually hold down in the morning. Didn't hurt my stomach because it wasn't coated in sugar. But in general, I never have sweet cereal in the morning or ever. I'm a coffee and banana guy all the way.
Finally,
Banana.
every breakfast needs a beverage, and in the UK, that's most likely going to be tea. The most common is English breakfast tea. It's a black tea made with a mixture of leaves, including Assam, Ceylon, and Kenyan teas. Legend says that the blend was given its name and popularised by Queen Victoria. She was served it, somewhat ironically, by a Scottish tea master called Drysdale on one of her visits to Balmoral Castle. Brits reportedly...
We're moving offices at the moment, so I went to our new office the other day, and right next door is a Costa Coffee, or at the back of us is a Costa Coffee. And I went in first thing in the morning, it was like 8 o'clock in the morning, and all my mates were in there. Like, they're all builders, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I went over and was like, hey, how's it going? So one of them was in the queue with me, and he says, what do you want? He said, get you a drink. I went, hey, just get your own, move on, sort of thing. He went, get you a tea. So I said, go on then, I'll have a peppermint tea. And they all burst out laughing.
Well, like it was like something you wouldn't buy.
Even the girl behind the counter started laughing. Because with all the builders, they're all sat there, big fatties and all that, all drinking the breakfast tea like that with like 10 sugars in it. And I've got in and asked for a peppermint tea. Funny.
typically consume 100 million cups of tea per day. Bearing in mind our population is only 67 million, that means on average Brits are consuming 1.49 cups a day per person.
That's nothing. America is a nation of coffee drinkers. We love our coffee. A 2024 survey from the National Coffee Association found that American adults drink nearly 465 million cups of coffee every single day.
Wow.
I'm responsible for most of that.
If you shrink that
So I've never tried coffee in my life.
Really?
Yeah. I've said it a few times on the channel before, but yeah.
I like a good
I
coffee.
absolutely hate the smell of it, so I've never wanted to try it.
We'll have a nice black coffee, but it's got to be bean to cup. I can't have instant coffee. Instant coffee's just like shite. So it's got to be bean to cup or, I don't know, espresso, macchiato type cup.
cut down to
You don't put any of them syrups and all that.
I do put syrups in, to flavour it, to sweeten it.
What?
So rather than have sugar, I have like vanilla or hazelnut,
syrup.
something like that, yeah.
just the adult population, which is around 271 million people. That comes out to about 1.7 cups of coffee per person every day. America's most popular coffee is drip coffee, but in recent years we've seen a rise in popularity with espresso-based drinks like lattes. In America, we are definitely more into coffee than tea, but we also are into iced drinks. Iced lattes, iced coffees are just so much more popular here, I think.
In the UK, you won't find a lot of drip coffee. We typically go for espresso drinks, with the latte being our #1 choice. Filling out the top three are the cappuccino and the flat white. The flat white has really picked up steam, pun intended, in the UK as of late. I really am loyal to tea. I think personally, I'm doing like 4 or 5 cups of tea per day.
Yeah.
So I'm really bringing the average up in the UK, if anything.
If coffee isn't your thing, maybe fruit juice is. The most popular juice option in the US is, of course, orange juice.
What's the best juice?
Pineapple.
Oh mate, no,
Fresh
that's
pineapple
that's
juice.
A bad
That's what
answer.
I have fresh pineapple juice.
Tropical juice.
I don't have the concentrate one. I have the fresh squeeze one.
Yeah, no, I like tropical juice. It's the best flavour.
We do have other pretty popular fruit juices for breakfast, like grapefruit, sometimes apple, but orange seems to be the go-to
Grapefruit.
for most people.
Orange juice also reigns supreme in the UK by quite a margin, actually. Beyond orange juice, apple juice is pretty popular here in the UK, as well as blended options like a tropical juice or maybe like an orange and mango. Obviously, we haven't covered everything.
Orange and mango.
I do have that a lot. Yeah.
Including loads of regional specialities. If you want another episode covering some more niche or regional dishes, then just let us know in the comments. Some classic breakfast components in the US and the UK are actually very different. It might shock some Americans to learn that British supermarkets don't refrigerate their eggs.
In the US, you'll always find eggs in the
What?
refrigerated section of a store alongside things like butter and milk.
I've
Comes
never
down
even
to the
noticed.
different ways the countries try to stop.
Oh wait, I thought the eggs were in like refrigerating there.
I've never noticed, but now I think about it, they're on the regular shelf. They're on the ambient shelf.
I've never bought eggs. At
Because I'll tell you how I know that, because Gaynor asked me to buy some eggs once and I couldn't bloody find them. I'm looking down, looking for them, and going, I had to ask the person, where do you keep the eggs?
yeah, you
And
just go to
one of
like,
them's
where all the milk
"Oh,
is and stuff.
Do you know, I don't need to do this in the USA now, but they bothered me with this in the UK. And I go, excuse me, where's the eggs? And they go, follow me. And then they go off on one, and I'm like, all you have to do is go, aisle 6, mate.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do, and I'm good. Follow me. Then I have to go traipsing behind them for the whole store. You know.
Stop the spread of bacteria like salmonella. In general, British and EU farming standards for eggs are higher than the equivalent standards in the US. Battery farming was effectively banned in the EU in 2012 and was replaced by enriched cage farming.
United Egg Producers set out some
Same.
minimum chicken welfare requirements for
New name,
US chicken
yeah.
farmers. One key regulation for egg farming is the amount of space given per hen, as this can significantly reduce the welfare of the hen. The US minimum space per caged hen is 67 square inches.
UK enriched chicken cages must provide 750 centimetres squared of space per bird. That's 73% more than the US standard.
Less room to move
Luxury
around
living.
with a higher contamination risk when it comes to the eggs chickens are laying. To mitigate this, American eggs are often washed and sprayed with a chemical sanitizer before being shipped out and sold to the public. Spraying the shells can actually provide moisture for more bacteria to grow and spread. Keeping the eggs cold reduces that risk, which is why American eggs have to be refrigerated.
In the UK, the focus is more on treating diseases at the source, rather than eliminating symptoms down the line. In addition to the extra space given to the hens when compared to the US, British hens are also vaccinated against salmonella. All these additional precautions mean that the eggs do not need to be cleaned before they're shipped out, and are therefore safe to be kept at room temperature. Did you know that cereal has a bizarre origin story? Or that America's aversion to tea was kickstarted by the Revolutionary War?
That's right, breakfast is the source of some bizarre and fascinating history. Let's start with the cereal thing though, because it's wild.
It all started back in the late 1800s. People would visit sanitariums to seek help with all sorts of health problems, kind of like old school health retreats. One such sanitarium, the Battle Creek Sanitarium in Michigan, was owned by a John Harvey Kellogg.
John Kellogg was an interesting guy. He was a Seventh-day Adventist Christian, a denomination that believes in the imminent second coming of Christ. Many Seventh-day Adventists believe that when Jesus returns, there will be a rapture, and only the most pure will be spared, leading them to chase spiritual and physical purity.
What did purity mean to John Kellogg? Well, it was mostly just denying yourself any form of pleasure whatsoever. He wrote a book in 1887 called Plain Facts for Old and Young. He placed particular emphasis on sexual practices, notably masturbation, which he described as the most dangerous of all sexual abuses.
Kellogg believed that one way to stave off impure thoughts and actions was through your diet. He claimed that you could nip your urges in the bud by eating unstimulating foods like vegetables, oatmeal, and graham flour.
It was graham flour in particular that would go on to be significant. Guests at Battle Creek Sanitarium were often served a twice-baked graham flour mixture as part of their breakfast. It was so tough that a guest reportedly once broke her tooth on it, so people started serving it in milk to make it more edible. It wasn't until a few years later that John, his wife Ella, and younger brother Will really struck gold. When experimenting with new ways to make granola, they discovered that by leaving a wheat dough to dry overnight before rolling it out and baking it, produced light, crispy flakes.
At this point, it actually grew in popularity, and Kellogg began marketing it as granula. He ran into an issue as a similar product already existed, invented by a man named James Caleb Jackson, who had used the same name. They patented the method and sold the new wheat flakes as granose before using corn instead of wheat around 1898 to create what we know now as cornflakes.
Will Kellogg saw how popular the new cereal had become. He wanted to distribute it nationwide, as well as adding things like salt and sugar to make it more tasty. Being the Puritan he was, John refused. However, Will was eventually able to persuade John to give up the rights to cornflakes. He started his own company, the Battle Creek Toasted Cornflake Company, in order to produce and distribute them. This eventually became the Kellogg Company in 1922.
It's safe to say that John would be spinning in his grave if he saw what his boring, bland, spiritually pure breakfast food had become today.
Hey Nico, why don't Americans drink tea like we do? It's clearly the superior beverage.
A lot of the tea-coffee divide can actually be traced back to the American Revolutionary War. As tensions rose between the British government and the American colonies, tea became a symbol of what the settlers believed to be unfair taxation. This culminated with the famous Boston Tea Party of December 1773, where revolutionaries dumped 342 crates of tea into the Boston Harbor in protest. Tea became such a symbol of British influence that eventual founding father John Adams wrote in a letter to his wife in 1774 that tea must be universally renounced. And he was right. Coffee's better. Many Americans simply replaced tea with coffee, and even after America cemented its independence from Britain, this change stuck. It stuck real hard because we're coffee drinkers for life over here, pretty much.
USA, baby!
I don't eat breakfast every day. I feel like I really have to commit to getting up early if I want to give myself a hearty enough breakfast. I do think it is the most important meal of the day. Don't get me wrong. I feel like breakfast is the thing that keeps you going when your brain is like most...
I mean, technically you have breakfast every day. Because it's just the
breaking
first thing,
fast.
it's just the first thing you eat.
But you know, it's one thing I eat for breakfast many times in the week is fruit.
Yeah.
So I'll get like a sort of
Because
fruit.
it's very, like grapes, it's very easy. You could
That's-
have
yeah.
100 grapes and still
That's what
be
I do,
hungry.
grapes, mango, and pineapple.
Mango, I don't know.
And also
Watermelon.
Mm.
Watermelon's my
yeah,
favourite.
that's why I have
Or
some, like-
pomegranates.
Yeah, I have it quite a lot.
Pomegranate seeds.
active in the morning, so you should be treating it like the most important meal every day. Don't be like me.
Personally speaking, I don't eat breakfast every day. Before I went to school, I always would, but now I have to actually fend for myself. The thought of waking up a bit early to have like a bowl of cereal or some toast, sacrificing those crucial extra minutes in bed, for me, not quite worth it. I might be slightly biased because I don't eat it every day, but I'm not sure I believe with that old adage that breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
There is a huge difference when it comes to breakfast at home and breakfast at like a diner, at least for me. At home, my ideal plate of breakfast looks something like maybe a bowl of oatmeal, side of turkey bacon, black
Whoa.
coffee, very minimal, low effort stuff. But going out, you have the freedom to choose whatever you want because you're not cooking it. So I would get pancakes, I would get hash browns, I would definitely get sausage and bacon for sure. Maybe even an egg. I usually skip eggs, I don't know. I get weird about them, but I'm definitely ordering way more for breakfast if I'm out versus cooking at home. One thing I can't believe we haven't talked about at all yet is bagels. That's another thing that I feel like is so popular to have for breakfast here. A
I
little
agree.
breakfast bagel with
I love
whatever
cream
cream
cheese
cheese you can
bagels.
imagine.
I
If you're
agree
into
with that.
sweets, they have like desserty cream cheeses, savory, there's endless options. Bagels, ideal breakfast.
I think my ideal breakfast is kind of just a full English. Not that I would eat it every day, but in terms of the pound for pound satisfaction
Yeah.
I get from eating it, I do think a full English is hard to beat. On a full English
Do you know why?
He's
Because
right.
because when I eat, I like having like different things at once.
Yeah.
And there's literally like so many ingredients on one plate, so
Yeah, reality is...
you're never getting tired of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. But reality is, if you're going to order a breakfast, if you're going to cook a breakfast, you're probably not going to cook a full English. If you're going to order a breakfast, you're going to have a full English.
If you're cooking, you're probably just making a bacon sandwich.
Yeah,
or
if
a
I have
bacon and
breakfast
sausage
at work,
sandwich.
if I have breakfast at work and it's like I either have fruit and a muffin,
Well,
like
nothing.
a blueberry muffin,
Nothing.
yeah,
Blueberry nothing.
and or I don't know if someone can be asked going to the butty van for me, I'll get a sausage and bacon sandwich.
Great for me, you definitely have to have the bacon, you have to have the sausage, you have to have the beans, and some nicely done fried eggs. All of that with a big mug of
hash
tea on the
brown.
side. I'm set. Having now been to the US a few times, one thing I do actually like about America is the diner culture. It's not a direct comparison to a British greasy spoon,
No.
but I do like a diner in its own right. Maybe for me it's less the specific foods and more the kind of diner culture, particularly the 24-hour thing. I do like the fact that you can go to a diner pretty much any time of day, get a nice cooked breakfast. It's great.
If I could steal any breakfast item from the UK and make it popular here, it would probably be a crumpet with
Yeah.
some of that like blackcurrant jam.
Good shout.
A lot of
Yeah.
the jams
Crumpet.
and jellies have a lot of sugar content in them, so they're not really like the most fresh tasting fruit item. I would be really interested to see what a blackcurrant jam tastes like on a crumpet. There are
Oh,
a
yeah,
few
really
breakfast
nice.
items from the
Good
UK
shout.
that I take issue with for sure. But I feel like it's more personal preference than anything. I'm not that into tomatoes for breakfast, not that into mushrooms, not
I'm not
super into
into them any
cabbage
time of the
or
day.
blood
Decoration.
sausage. So if it's working for you guys, I'm so happy for you.
Like when you get like a burger and chips and there's like salad on the side, do you actually eat that?
I do, yeah.
Really?
But yeah, but the other side is when it comes to full English, and it comes with the tomatoes and mushrooms on it. I normally bin them off to Mum.
Yeah,
Give 'em
Mum always
gazer.
has the mushroom.
I'm like, do you want these on your like whatever she's having avocado and toast with mushrooms and tomato sort of thing? But it's but occasionally I might sort of like have a couple of mushrooms and a little bit of tomato, but it's more like for garnishing, I think, for
Yeah,
like,
it
the
is.
show.
It's just to make
'Cause
the plate look
when
a
I
bit
see
more
plates
colourful.
going back. When I see like the waiters carrying plates back, I said, "What's that?" I always look at the plate, see what people have left, and he's always like mushrooms.
I wonder if
tomato
they
on
just
there.
take them back and take the
Take
tomato
one
off the last
plate,
plate and
put
put it on your plate.
No.
No?
Well, I do think America needs to dial it back slightly on the sweet goods for breakfast. There's basically no nutritional value there. You're getting all these easily digestible sugars, which just go straight through your body and leave you even hungrier afterwards.
I do think the idea of breakfast has changed in my life since I was a child to now being an adult. I feel like sugar was the main thing I wanted as a kid, so all of the foods I ate at that time were very sugar heavy. Pop-Tarts, Lucky Charms, Eggo waffles, all of that. Nowadays, it's more about giving me like the fuel that I need to stay awake until lunchtime, so I'm more interested in stuff that's gonna keep me
Stay
awake.
fuller for
Lunchtime.
longer.
The crew is finding us the idea of a straight, long sausage very funny. These are often, I would say, longer and straighter than a Cumberland or a Lincolnshire might be, till he stopped.
Yeah, but I don't sausage and gravy a breakfast item in the USA.
Sausage and gravy.
Yeah, sausage biscuits and gravy. Sorry,
Biscuits and gravy,
Yeah.
yeah. I guess so, right? Or
Yeah,
is it
'cause
like
I-
more of like a lunch?
I quite like that. And if that was a breakfast thing, it'd be,
You
it'd be
had
heavy.
it for breakfast.
Yeah, but it was quite heavy. But it's would I have it in place of a full English? I'd probably alternate because I did like biscuits and gravy. I probably would alternate because sometimes when I've had a full English after I've finished it, I've gone. You can't move.
Yeah, you're in a
I'm
coma, you're in a food
yeah,
coma.
it's like just a little bit too much. But then when I have something healthy like fruit,
It's like one of the only things in the UK that's like given as like a big portion size every time.
yeah, that's probably the benefit sometimes when I go to a hotel and I've got the buffet breakfast because then I'll have like a sausage sandwich
Yeah.
and I'll have some fruit and a bit of toast on the side and things
Brown
like
or
that.
red
Just pick
sauce?
brown
That's good.
on a breakfast,
Good.
brown sauce
Yeah,
all day.
brown sauce.
Yeah, there you go.
Unless there's an egg on it, sometimes I wouldn't even have. I would have the yolk as runny
Got
as the sauce.
You've got to put brown sauce round the yolk and then cut it in, so mix it in. So you got a brown sauce yolk.
Nice.
It's like it becomes like a gravy, like a runny gravy.
Yeah.
And that's what you dip your sausage
Then it
in.
gets messy, and your hands get all messy, and your
Put
napkin and all
vinegar
that.
in with a bit of vinegar with your beans and mix all that together.
Right, yeah. Getting
Winning.
excited now, mate.
Breakfast champions. Anyway, let us know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well.
Yeah.
We'll see you on the next one.
Cheers.
Cheers.